Okay, I'd like to move now to the next submission, which is an oral presentation by the concerned citizen of Renfrew County, as outlined CMD 15H 5.4 and H 4.A, H 5.4B. I understand that Dr. Hendrickson will make the presentation. Please proceed.
Mr. President, Commission members, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Ole Hendrickson, representing concerned citizens of Renfrew County. We've intervened at hearings on SRB and ACL for more than 25 years. We were probably the first to take environmental monitoring samples in this area in 1998. As Dr. Harvey asked, why is our impression so different from the staff impression of SRB? Well, we expect that SRB will put its best foot forward and really do a good job presenting its application, but we want the CNSC to be independent, objective, unbiased, and technically credible. And there are some problems in our view about the Environmental Assessment Information Report and the Independent Environmental Monitoring Program, such as the statement that radioactivity measured in water, air, soil, vegetation, milk, wine, fruit, and vegetables are within natural background levels. That sort of statement raises red flags for a group like ours. In CCRC's view, there really isn't enough information yet about activities in the material prepared by CNSC staff to accept that recommendation that SRB will make adequate provision for protection of the environment. The rig stack, which is on the left, emits waste tritium gases from filling rigs. The bulk stack on the right from the bulk splitter laser cutter, and formerly the reclamation unit. But you can see a lot of air handling units also. Could there be unmonitored radiation emissions from air handling units other than the stacks? That's a concern of ours. The blue line is SRB's reported radiation emissions over its entire 25-year operations. And we've seen other graphs that have only started at the year 2000 and show that decline. In 1994, the AECB granted an increase in SRB's emissions to allow tritium reclamation. And for the next 10 years, imported tritium light sources were crushed in the reclamation unit, and some of the tritium captured on a uranium getter bed, and the rest emitted through the bulk stack. This came up at the 2010 hearing. Can we tell exactly how much of that reduction was due to cessation of reclamation? And I think we could if we were to look separately at the bulk and rig stack data for the period 1995 to 2005. And I believe that in future, the annual compliance reports, or ACRs, could provide data separately for the rig and bulk stack, and that might help us understand more what's going on. After the 2006 hearings, the Commission decided not to renew the tritium processing license, saying that the operation of SRB had resulted in unreasonable risk to the environment, mostly due to groundwater contamination. As Mr. Rinker noted, in 2007, CNSC initiated a tritium studies project, and the synthesis report from that project, and there's a quote from that report, talks about a value of 100 becquerels per liter of tritium, which can represent a balanced consideration of science, public health policy, and societal expectations. The report also says that for existing facilities, there may have to be higher levels, but those should be addressed by the CNSC at the policy level in consultation with provinces. Our concern is the current release limit of roughly 448 terabecquerels low enough? Is it really low enough to protect groundwater? Or are we still hiding behind the old 7,000 becquerel per liter limit, which at least 2 Ontario government reports have said should be lowered to 100 becquerels per liter or 20 becquerels per liter. And as was discussed earlier, why these orders of magnitude difference in protecting the public. The orange lines are the predictions made by CNSC staff in 2010 of what groundwater tritium levels would be in 4 monitoring wells in 2014. The blue lines are monitoring data from the 2014 ACR. And I think our concern is that there does not appear to be good agreement between the orange and blue lines. And this, to us, says that the statement in the Environmental Assessment Information Report by the staff that, that the relatively good match between modeling results and measurements provides validation to the prediction of behaviors in tritium and demonstrates that releases of tritium are under control may not be true. We may not yet know what all the sources of tritium are or how it's behaving in the environment. SRB's ACR show that between 2001 and 2006, drums of crushed glass were shipped to ACL Chalk River. There was a 5-year hiatus in shipments of glass, as far as I can tell, and then in 2012, shipments of expired gaseous tritium light sources began. And we assume that these are mostly imported wastes from mostly the US, and that they're being taken out of exit sign frames and presumably shipped intact in as compact a form as possible to Chalk River, where there is a licensed waste facility. And we just think that this is an important activity which has not been adequately addressed in the environmental assessment report and indeed in the whole staff CMD. So is our interpretation correct? We found online Nuclear Regulatory Commission permits allowing SRB's affiliate in Winston-Salem, North Carolina to ship waste exit signs to Pembroke. So is tritium disposal a main part of SRB's business model? You look on the website and you see disposal and recycling of tritium. And to my knowledge, tritium disposal is not currently allowed. Radioactive waste disposal is not allowed by the CNSC. We only store waste. Even the Chalk River facility stores waste. And then this also raises the question of how do we know how much of these expired tritium light sources are coming in? Can we accurately estimate the quantities of tritium contained in these? It's not easy to do. And this gets us back to some discussion earlier about the possession limit for the facility and how much processing you can increase and stay within that 6,000 terabecquerel possession limit. If SRB wants to increase the number of shipments, and they seem to have gone up in the past 3 years, it's going to be difficult to maintain operations within that possession limit. And there could be the incentive to have more rapid throughput of tritium through the facility. So there could be a fair limit on how much tritium can be processed. And it makes us wonder whether this strip mall in Pembroke is really the right place to do this when the eventual destination of these waste will be Chalk River. Now, without going into details, the same tritium gas used by SRB to make self-luminous devices plays a key role in nuclear weapons arsenal. And I want to skip through this pretty quickly, but I would perhaps like to have an opportunity to discuss this privately with Commission members, because I do have concerns about safety and security associated with large-scale imports and exports of tritium, knowing that only a few exit signs or perhaps a single Amersham container is enough to create a real security risk if a terrorist group may have gotten its hands on enriched uranium or plutonium. And this is something that has been raised by Kenneth Bergeron, who was a senior Department of Energy official with the U.S., and he wrote a book in 2002 published by MIT Press where he warns that recent developments call for enhanced vigilance about the availability of tritium and the technology for producing it. And just to show that is taken from the CNSC publication on tritium handling that was part of the Tritium Studies project. And that little metal, the larger metal container is the Amersham container, and the ones on the side would be the pyrophoric uranium tritium traps that would be used. And this final, here, one further concern, SRB does not own the building that it shares with other businesses such as MedEng. So if you look at the back side of the building, here is an expanded footprint of the building that SRB's in. And we're concerned also about how that might influence release of stack gases, downwash. Is there a possibility those tritium gases could get into other facilities near SRB? And also you can see the construction on the right side appears to us to have perhaps impacted 4 of SRB's monitoring wells, including well 24, which is one of the few wells that's actually showing increase in tritium, and very significant increases. Well 24 has gone up from around 100 becquerels per liter to 2,500 becquerels per liter in 2014. So I'll just leave that. There's some things that I know I covered an awful lot of material and really did my best to present that to you. Thank you.
Thank you.